I am Anais Chartschenko. I'm the author of a book of poetry, Bright Needles, and I am part of the Love Magic anthology that was edited by Francesca Leo Block, and my piece in it is called The Listening.
And those are dark fantasy, right?
Yeah, the Bright Needles poetry, I guess it's pretty dark, so yeah, let's just put it all, it's all dark, yes. Yeah.
So, what is your writing routine?
Gosh, my writing routine is to write any spare second that I have. So I always carry around notebooks. Right now I have these two notebooks that I've been carrying around all the time. So this one is for my novellas, and this is actually for a dystopian novel that I'm working on, as yet untitled. Otherwise, I try to have about an hour to write every day that isn't interrupted. Are
you a plotter then, or are you somebody who's stream of conscious?
Both. It depends on what I'm writing. For the books, the bigger books, the novella and this novel here, I plot. Because if I don't plot at all, then I don't think that it would get from one part to the next part as well. If it's a shorter piece like poetry, I can do stream of consciousness.
What scenario or idea has been the hardest for you to put into words?
Happiness, like things that are very light, and that is hardest for me. And to have it be a complicated happiness, because happiness a lot of times is very complicated. Mm-hmm. And it might not just be, all roses, but I always like to think about all the thorns. Right on. It's the emotional involvement, the mushy gushy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
So what's one bad writing habit that you hope to someday break?
That my dialogue gets better, crisper. There's a romantic suspense novelist, Jane Ann Krentz, and she writes good dialogue because it's just fast and crisp and there's no nonsense to it, So you don't ever pause and think, what? And go back and reread it. And I think that it's especially in fantasy and dark fantasy and those types of books, I have a lot of times go, what? And go back. And so I think that you can take a lot from that, where the whole point of these conversations is to move to the next bit.
Anyway, where do you do most of your writing?
My hour-long times that I like to write here. I have a writing desk. Actually, I've gone through several trying to find something that was comfortable because I'm short. So a lot of things just don't work out. Both of my writing desks that I've tried failed. But this table with this chair is a better height. So I write here a lot, and then I just will stand there. And people look at me, or at the pub or whatever, anywhere really. I tried to write at a coffee shop recently, but sometimes that doesn't work because I don't like screaming babies. I'm a horrible person that way. And sometimes there's a lot of screaming babies if you go out into the world. But it's not very helpful when I'm trying to write.
Yeah, right. And especially the ones where they think they figured it out and they have it and it screams louder. Or... Oh,
yeah, well, the one that, usually it's fine, but the last time I left because the mom, the kid, how when they get a certain age, they just start throwing things on the floor and they think it's a game. And then the mom decided, she announced it to everybody that she's teaching her kid a lesson, and so she's going to leave it on the floor and let him scream. And so...
Great, thanks.
Yeah, since she was in lesson teaching at a cafe, I thought that I'd leave because the lesson was probably going to get very loud.
What one rule of poetry do you absolutely follow no matter what?
The emotion, like have the emotion be the most important part.
What would you feel has been your most effective social media tool?
Twitter. Wouldn't have met you, for example. I wouldn't know. Joshua Robertson, who I became good friends with, wouldn't have met him. Lillian Oak. I mean, there's being part of the Phoenix Quill. I wouldn't have been part of that writing group at all. Without Twitter, I wouldn't have known it existed.
Has it helped you with sales at all?
Yeah. Actually, I was able to sell. I saw that Bright Needles was sold by somebody who found out about it through Twitter. I think that has definitely been the best way. I've reached a lot of people really quickly.
Everybody, one tip for world building.
I don't want to say be realistic, but make it feel like it could be real, especially if it's dystopian fiction. I feel like you have to make it feel like it could be real.
If someone were to write about Canada, what is the one cliche every non-Canadian writer should avoid?
That everybody's kind. I mean, in general, I think that it's a good society. It's a community that is definitely part of the culture to be concerned about other people and how they are. And I think that's a really applaudable aspect. But on the individual basis, if you're writing about it, you don't want everybody to be just, handing you a scone every other second or apologizing for everything. Just like everywhere else, there's going to be a jerk. Maybe have him wear one of those nice rabbit-lined hats, though. I mean, you don't have to give up on all the stereotypes. I owned like 2 of them.
You were Cinderella, and and novels were your glass slippers. What one book does your Prince Charming bring you?
The Little Prince.
What is it about that book that really sings to you?
When I first read it, I had never read anything like it before. I think I was probably 12 or 13. And I grew up in an environment that I didn't have a lot of that sort of fiction anyway, or fantasy or anything like that. The first thing was this imaginary world was so vivid that, whoa, what? And then all of the things that he said, all of like the little lessons about the prince having to learn how to be with his rose and deal with it, being responsible for the people that you love. I think that's very important. I think a lot of people miss that. They think that you don't have to be responsible for anybody but yourself. And I think that's absolutely awful and a horrible way of looking at things.
If a publisher came to you and said, I'm going to give you $1 million advance, but you have to write about one event in history, what event would you choose?
The burning of the libraries. Yeah, and especially in Alexandria when Christianity was starting to come up and they were trying to destroy all the knowledge. That stuff, that's the stuff that keeps me up at night. That just guts me. I hate that. Every time they destroy knowledge or curating, I don't like that. And then somebody else tells you, oh, well, you get this. You can have this amount of knowledge. And actually in my dystopian book, I have a girl that was a librarian, and they did exactly that. And that's what she smuggles out as books. You can find me on Twitter, Anais Believe, ANAIS Believe, and YouTube as well, Anais Believe. And I'm on Goodreads, Anais Chartschenko, as well as Amazon,
Anais,
all those places.
Thank you so much for this beautiful conversation. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Thank you very much. It was fun. And then I just finished a novella called Layla, and I started working on another novella, Datura. So
dystopian that you're working on, is that going to be a series eventually?
That would be great. I hope so. I can already see what I want to be the end of this, and then I can see exactly what would happen after that. So that's an exciting thing to have happen. But you never know, because it depends how this one works. Because if you put something out and then nothing happens with it, or it's not what you wanted it to be, then maybe it's better to move on to something else and know the story in your own head. But I'm very practical that way.